Not your problem, somebody else.
Every year, right? There seems to be some. Mark is in the back there.
I want to have a chat. Should have worn my medals.
You're taller than him. Yeah. How tall are you?
6'5".
He's 6'5".
Yeah. 6'5", yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the grandkid, great-grandkid, like they're tall, they're all tall.
Our daughter is 5'3".
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Logan Kanapathi. I am the proud member of Parliament for Mark and Thornhill. I'm also Parliamentary Assistant to Ontario Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, Graham McCraer. I'm also Parliamentary Assistant to Minister of Children, Community and Social Service, the Honourable Michael Parsa. I want to acknowledge that we are on land traditionally occupied by Indigenous people. They continue to care for this land. They continue to shape Ontario today. And I want to show my respect hundreds of years after the first treaties were signed. They are still relevant today. Now, I would like to welcome Minister Michael Parsa to provide the remarks. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Logan. Much appreciated. Good morning, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here today at local branch 375, my branch, my home branch here with my colleagues, MPP Laura Smith, MPP Logan Kanapathi, and my wonderful friend and colleague, Minister Sarkaria, as we begin Remembrance Week with a very exciting announcement. And I want to recognize the hard work of my parliamentary assistants, Laura Smith, as well as Logan Kanapathi, and former PA and now Minister Nolan Quinn, as well as Associate Minister Charmaine Williams, who have all been a big part of our ministry's efforts to visit dozens of legions to hear directly from our veterans. Now, over the past few months, we have visited nearly 75 legions across the province, and it's been and continues to be an honor to speak to our veterans, to hear their stories. We all know that our veterans are our heroes. They've made tremendous sacrifices to make our country what it is today. So on behalf of Premier Ford, on behalf of our entire government, we thank them for their incredible service, and we're going to continue to be there for them when they need us. One of the ways we're doing that is through the work of the Soldiers' Aid Commission. And I want to thank Philip Ten-Courtenard, the chair of the commission, and in fact the entire membership of the commission for the important work that you do to support veterans as well as their families. Now, unique to our province, the Soldiers' Aid Commission has been providing veterans of all ages with financial assistance for over 100 years, since 1915. And that's why my ministry expanded the Soldiers' Aid Commission in 2021. That's why I directed our team with building today's important initiatives. Now, these enhancements will help the Soldiers' Aid Commission continue to support our heroes as well as their families as they transition to civilian life in communities across the province. Our veterans stepped up when we needed them. They had our backs, and as always, we will have theirs. Because our veterans, as I said, are heroes, and even heroes need some help sometimes. So now I'd like to invite my colleague, Parliamentary Assistant Laura Smith, to speak further on the enhancements that our government is making to increase support for our veterans as well as their families. Thank you very much.
Well, hello everyone and good morning. Thank you, Minister Parsa, for all that you do and the kind introduction. Thank you for standing up for Ontario's veterans. I also want to recognize Soldiers' Aid Commission Chair Philip Ten-Courtenard, Branch President Terry O'Connor, as well as the volunteer local members of Branch 375. Thank you for all the work that you do to support veterans in communities across the province every day. Veterans have played a pivotal role in securing our nation's past and future. And I know the incredible sacrifices that you've made firsthand. So my father joined the Air Force after a family home had been bombed in London during WW2. He enlisted at such a young age and went on to serve as part of the cleanup crew for WW2 and bore witness to the horrors of concentration camps firsthand. And the value of service above self that my father embodied has been passed through my family from generation to generation. My grandfather served in the Great War. Later in life, he would settle in High Park area, bringing his war bride to join him. And my uncle, he was a tank man, a Sherbrooke Fusilier, who had been through some terrible battles, including D-Day. And because of that, he lived with the scars of shrapnel throughout his back through most of his life. So when I get to join veterans and their communities at Legion Halls and service clubs across this province, I'm not just another politician. This is who I am. I've been participating in No Stone Left Alone for a couple of years now, and it's an initiative that I do alongside my veteran friend Russ, and we visit cemeteries and place poppies and tea lights on the gravestones of veterans. This past weekend, we were joined by a group of Girl Guides and honored by the veterans that are buried at Holy Catholic Cemetery, where there are currently 1,700 veterans laid to rest. So I can tell you that I'm truly touched by each one of your unique stories and full of gratitude for the tremendous sacrifices you've made for our country. However, I know that life post-service can sometimes be difficult. Veterans and their families can face so many challenges when transitioning to civilian life, including post-traumatic stress disorder, physical injury, and unemployment. Some may even experience homelessness. That's why it's important that we honor their brave sacrifices, both during their service and also when they return home. According to Veterans Affairs Canada, there are nearly 150,000 veterans who live in Ontario, and our government is enhancing supports for them as they transition back to civilian life. So this includes improving the financial and community supports available to Ontario veterans to better meet their very unique needs. That's why I'm so pleased to announce that our government intends to increase the financial assistance available to eligible veterans and their family members in need through the Soldiers' Aid Commission. The plan changes will increase the maximum amount of applicants so that they can receive 50% more. So they could have received $2,000, and now they can receive up to $3,000 over a 12-month period. This, we're pretty happy about that too. This boost in funding will help veterans pay for essential services and supports, things like health-related expenses, hearing aids, eyeglasses, home and housing-related items, repairs for rental costs, supplies for work, mental health services, and so much more. The government also intends to make it easier and faster for veterans applying. We're removing the last resort policy so that when veterans apply to the Soldiers' Aid Commission, they will no longer have to seek funding from other community sources before applying to the commission. With these changes, veterans will only need to show that they've looked for support from the federal government before making an application. This will make it easier for veterans to apply and receive the support they need. But helping our veterans includes more than financial supports. We're working across government to strengthen community supports for our heroes. So I'm so pleased to announce that our government will be exploring opportunities to partner with municipalities and organizations that support veterans in need of housing. Our goal is to improve access to housing and housing supports and supports for our veterans in need by working across different levels of government. We can make a difference in the lives of veterans because our heroes deserve all of our support. Thank you. And I'd now like to turn it over to Philippe Tencourtenard, Chair of the Soldiers' Aid Commission, to share a few words.
Thank you. Thank you, P.A. Smith and Mr. Minister, dignitaries, other ministers, members of the Legion, and friends and veterans. This update to the Soldiers' Aid Commission's mandate reflects the current economic conditions of today and will better assist our Ontario-based veterans and their families that are in need. It will also allow a Soldiers' Aid Commission to rapidly deploy funding to applicants, backstopping any possible financial shortfalls to ensure that our veterans and families a quality of life they served to preserve. This is a wonderful program. It is here. We're making a difference, and I'm very proud to be part of it. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to introduce my good friend and colleague, the Minister of Transportation, the Honourable Prabmeet Sarkaria. Thank you, Minister.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Philip, for everything that you do. Terry as well at the Legion here, and a special thank you to Minister Parsa and his team who have led this piece of legislation and their commitment to supporting Ontario's veterans, and P.A. Smith and Kanapathi. What a touching story that P.A. Smith has shared with us about her family's commitment and as well as Minister Parsa and his commitment to ensuring that we support our veterans. I'm so pleased to be here today to honor and support the men and women of our Canadian Armed Forces, the active members and veterans who have stood up to preserve our freedom as well as the rights of those around the world. We owe them not just our gratitude, but action. I'm proud to serve in a government that stands up for veterans and their families across our province, working to make life easier and more affordable for those whose hard work and sacrifice has benefited us all. That's why, starting next year in March, I am proud to announce our government is eliminating fares for Canadian Armed Forces veterans, active regular force members on GO Transit. And we have plans to extend this to the Up Express as well. These changes are in recognition of the servicemen and women who have done so much for our province and country. These changes would help a veteran traveling from Oshawa to Union for work every single day, almost $6,000 a year. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, our government is making life more affordable for all Ontarians. We're extending cuts to the gas tax, freezing fees on driver's licenses and road tests, and banning road tolls on new highways. Offering free GO Transit rides to current and former members of the Canadian Armed Forces is just another way we are making Ontario the best place to live, work, and raise a family. And thank you to all our veterans, and thank you to Minister Parsa and his team for taking the lead on this. With that, I will now turn it back over to MPP Kanapathi. Thank you.
So thank you, Minister Parsa, for that kind announcement. My name is Logan Kanapathi. I'm proud member of Provincial Parliament for Markham Thornhill and the Parliamentary Assistant to Ontario Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, Graham McGregor. I'm also the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services, the Honourable, wonderful colleague and MPP for Richmond Hill is Michael Parsa. Thank you for being here. Thank you for attending this wonderful event. It is an honor and privilege to be here this morning alongside my PC colleague and, of course, all of you. For those of who have served, I want to say my heartfelt thanks for your service, dedication, sacrifice for our country and the nation and the world, and for always upholding the values central to who we are as a Canadian. I want to recognize the Richmond Hill Legion branch number 375 for providing essential service to veterans and their families. I also want to thank the hardworking individual who serve as an incredible advocate and champion for those who have served. In my time as an MPP and also Parliamentary Assistant to wonderful Minister Michael Parsa, I have visited over 20 Royal Canadian Legion Hall from all parts of the province. There I met our veterans and their families and learned so much from them and the challenges they face. We recognize the vital role our veterans have played in securing Canada past, present, and future. I am excited to say that on behalf of the Ministry of Health, we are improving veteran access to virtual health care. Ontario will be inviting representatives from veteran organizations across the province to participate in Health 811's partner advisory council to provide feedback and tailor health services to veteran specific health care needs. Our government remains committed to taking meaningful action to ensure those who served are recognized and feel supported and empowered. In my closing, I want to thank you all once again for your contribution and for being here today. Thank you.
I'll now call on the president of, my president here of our local branch 375, Terry O'Connor, to say a few words. Thank you, Terry.
It's a bit of a short joking. This is a very good day for the veterans, and it's a very rare day. It's not often that a provincial government funding announcement has anything at all to do with veterans, let alone things that will make their lives better. A 50% increase in the funding available to veterans will most definitely assist us and our service officers, excuse me, provide the service and for the needs that our veterans have. It's amazing. In my professional life, I spent roughly 10% of it, or 7,800 hours, doing documentation, filling out requisitions, writing down things that happened. And so the part of this announcement that has made my heart truly sing is the elimination of the need to use the onerous Legion Benevolent Fund application form. Thank you. That's awesome. Veterans are very proud people, and they have a right to be. And filling out a form that sort of can be critical because it looks like you really aren't doing a very good job of managing your money to them. So this is a really big thing. It may be the smallest thing on here. To me, it's the biggest. Now, I'm going to do a little Trumpian weave and talk about a dog I owned 20 years ago. Nikita was a Shepherd Husky mix who stood waist high and weighed about 110 pounds. She would greet me at the door when I got home from work with her bowl in her mouth, her empty bowl, and if I didn't fill it fast enough, she'd throw it at me. So I think I might be a bit of a Nikita, because I'm going to say that as a grandmother, worried about the environment that we're leaving for our future generations, I really appreciate any initiative that encourages the use of public transport. Sorry about that. Anyway, as a citizen of the GTA, I think it's wonderful that we are providing GO Transit and possibly UP service as well at no cost to our veterans. It will be a great help, especially to those who are in financial need. But as a native of the Great Southwest, I have to ask, are plans afoot to do something for those veterans who do not live in a great metropolitan area? So for the South, for the North, for all the places that don't even have very good day-to-day public transport. So having said that, I want to end with the fact that we are truly grateful for all that's happened here today. And I don't want my last comment to be taken as a negative. Just like, please think about the rest. Okay, thank you very much.
We're going to open it up for the media question and answer period. You can just step up to the microphone behind those lights, state your name and outlet, and we're going to follow the one question, one follow-up format. Thank you.
Great. Good morning. Both my questions for the Transportation Minister. Lane Harrison, CBC News. Minister, talking about bike lanes, you cite the 1.2% of people riding bikes to work as a major justification for removing bike lanes installed by the City of Toronto, but the figure includes people who lived in Brampton, Mississauga, Vaughan, and other places where driving is largely the only option. Recent city data shows 44% of Torontonians use bikes to get to work, school, go shopping, or visit friends. So are you misleading Ontarians about the reality of the situation?
The reality of the situation is that gridlock is the worst it's ever been in this province. I have, visited many business owners on Bloor Street, on Yonge Street, on University. I've had many conversations. TomTom, which runs a international study, has ranked Toronto as the third worst and most congested city. We have seen these bike lanes remove 2 lanes of traffic on some of our busiest roads in the entire city, let alone the city, the province, all of North America. And so we need a balanced approach, one that allows people to get to and from work easier, faster, in a more responsible manner. And that is exactly what we're moving ahead and doing. We've identified 3. I think you mentioned Bloor, University, and Yonge Street, and those will be removed to get people moving once again. The majority of this province is driving to work, and we have to ensure that we can get people to and from work easier and faster, spend less time in gridlock, and more time with their families.
Okay, and then speaking of the financial implication of the legislation, we heard on Metro Morning today from the Toronto City Manager, and he says the city wants to be paid for not just the costs of adding the bike lanes, but also the costs of planning and time, which could tally up to be in the millions of the dollars. Will the province reimburse the city for that?
Oh, we're going to reimburse the removal of the bike lanes, and we know that the cost from a productivity perspective is way higher. People are spending way more time in their cars stuck in traffic. People are spending way more time trying to get to and from work, and our responsibility is to get this province moving. We've invested $70 billion over the next 10 years in public transit. The Ontario line is going to move 400,000 people a day, take off 28,000 cars. Previous governments did not make this investment, but as those investments are being made, as public transit is being built, it does not make sense to take away some of our most used lanes in the city, whether it be Bloor, whether it be University or Yonge Street, take away 50% of the lanes which are being used by the majority of those who drive to and from work, to accommodate a very small percentage of individuals who are using bikes. And so we will continue to move forward on this plan and ensure that we get the city moving again.
Hi there, Alan Hale from the Trillium. I got a question for Minister Parsa. Minister Parsa, your government installed a supervisor at Kawartha Halliburton Children's Aid Society, and the board has all resigned. We understand that this was at least in part because of the agency's deficit, which it has blamed on underfunding from your government and the increasingly complex needs of the children they serve. Can you tell us what this CAS did wrong to require a supervisor? What specifically necessitated this?
Yeah, well, thanks very much. Listen, I've been very clear, and our government has been very clear. We want every child and every youth in this province to have a safe and loving home, regardless of their circumstance. That's our goal, and that's what's driving the review of the child welfare system here in this province. And it's been since we formed government, we've made that very clear. We want every child, every youth in this province to succeed and thrive, regardless of their circumstance. This CAS that you're referring to has historically had challenges. We've had ministry-led reviews with the CAS, and because we did not see improvements, and in the end, it all comes to children and the safety. And we have provided additional funding on top of the annual allocation of the CAS. And when we see gaps, we're going to step in. This is the future of our province, and we're going to leave no stone unturned when it comes to protecting the children and youth in care.
The Star has recently reported that your ministry knew about the fact that children with complex needs were being placed in unlicensed settings due to a lack of placements since last fall. What did you do when you found out this was happening, and why has it taken a year to launch an audit?
Well, several things. First of all, when it comes, as I mentioned, the review, when you look at the child welfare system, over the last 10 years, funding to children's aid societies have increased by $129 million. Now, over that 10-year span, the number of children and youth in care has actually decreased by 30%. So, increase of investment of $129 million, decrease of children and youth in care by 30%. And when you hear stories of children being put in a basement in an unlicensed facility, ones that have not passed fire safety inspections, those are ones that we're going to step in. It doesn't matter the number. We're always reviewing to make sure that every child and every youth in this province has a chance to succeed. And that's why we're investing $1.7 billion in child welfare this year, to make sure that societies have the resources to make sure that children and youth have the support they need to succeed and to thrive. And we're never going to stop that. We're going to always look at ways making sure the future of our province is protected and supported to succeed and thrive.
My question is for Minister Sarkaria. Do you know what the cost of removing the bike lanes on Yonge University and Bloor will be?
Look, we'll work with the municipalities, but what we know is the cost of gridlock is causing this province a significant amount through lost productivity. You know, the Toronto Region Board of Trade did a study. 98 hours are lost every single year to traffic and gridlock in the city. $11 billion on our highways and roads across the entire province. We need to get people moving. We need to get people to and from their house. So the cost of not doing this is far greater. And we have, a duty to ensure that people can get to their families, can get to work easier and quicker, and spend time doing the things that they want to do rather than being stuck behind a wheel.
And will the province pay for replacement bike lanes on secondary streets?
Well, I think there's an opportunity for the city to work and to ensure that they can accommodate that. What we are seeing is that the lanes that have gone in, post the pandemic, have caused significant issues across the province, and especially in the city of Toronto, they have caused a tremendous amount of gridlock. And so those are the 3 lanes that we're focusing on. We do encourage the city and other municipalities to use secondary routes to ensure that they build the cycling infrastructure where it isn't ripping up the busiest roads on our cities or in our province. And we hope that the municipalities can do that. This is all about a reasonable approach to ensuring that people can continue to move, continue to get to work, continue to get to meetings or wherever they need to go in a reasonable manner. And that is why the government is stepping in and focusing its attention on the 3 streets that I have mentioned before, being University, Bloor, and Yonge.
That concludes today's event.
I just want to end by thanking all of you for being here today. Terry, thank you so much for hosting us. And I see that my friend Paul Rosen, former Olympian gold medalist in the back and a strong advocate and supporter of our veterans. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Have a wonderful day.